Around 1200 BC, the Eastern Mediterranean supported an interconnected network of ancient states. These kingdoms relied on maritime routes to exchange essential materials across vast distances. Because no single territory possessed both copper and tin, bronze production depended entirely on regional trade. Between 1200 and 1150 BC, this integrated system collapsed within approximately 50 years. The Hittite Empire vanished, Mycenaean palaces burned, and the coastal city of Ugarit was destroyed. Egypt survived this regional crisis, but its royal power was permanently diminished and never fully recovered. The mysterious seafarers associated with this destruction left no written records or physical monuments. Historical knowledge regarding their identity derives entirely from surviving letters written by their targets. In the burned palace of Ugarit, archaeologists recovered clay tablets recording the city's final plea for military assistance. Around 1185 BC, clay documents from the coastal kingdom of Ugarit provided direct evidence of systemic breakdown. In tablet RS 20.238, the king of Alashia explicitly warned King Amurapi of Ugarit about hostile ships. Some scholars have proposed that excavators discovered this tablet inside a kiln, though this hypothesis remains unconfirmed. In tablet RS 18.147, Amurapi reported to the viceroy of Carchemish that 7 enemy vessels had already attacked. Amurapi noted that his troops were deployed in Hatti while his ships were stationed in distant Lucca. With its military forces dispersed across partner territories, the prosperous city was left completely undefended. Ugarit was burned to the ground shortly after these tablets were written and was never reoccupied by its inhabitants. A sophisticated international network built over centuries disintegrated rapidly, as documented in these final records of Ugarit. In Egypt, relief carvings at Medinet Habu provide the primary visual record of these raiders. Archaeological evidence indicates they were not a single unified conquering force. The mortuary temple of Ramesses III at Medinet Habu contains detailed relief panels depicting the Sea Peoples. Located in western Thebes, these carved surfaces provide clear evidence of these displaced populations. The relief carvings document armed combatants operating alongside wooden carts burdened with non-combatant families. Sculpted panels portray women, young children, and domestic possessions traveling directly behind the advancing warriors. Hieroglyphic inscriptions at the temple site identify 9 distinct groups within this maritime coalition. Egyptian scribes specifically named the Peliset, the Shirdan, and the Luca among these incoming contingents. Archaeological analysis confirms these disparate groups did not constitute a unified army or centralized command. Modern climate studies provide critical context for this massive movement of varied populations. Scientific sampling of sediment cores from the Aegean Sea confirms a severe drought around 1200 BC. Isotopic analysis of speleothems demonstrates that arid conditions caused widespread failure and severe famine. Contemporary scholars view the Sea Peoples as displaced refugees forced into migration by agricultural ruin. Physical evidence supports this displacement model over traditional theories of a planned conquest. A 2019 genetic study of skeletal remains in Ashkelon detected European DNA markers among ancient burials. This biological evidence supports the historical connection between the Peliset group and later coastal settlements. Environmental data indicates this climate anomaly destroyed agricultural productivity across 50 major cities. In 1175 BC, Pharaoh Ramesses III repelled a naval invasion at the Battle of the Delta. Egyptian scribes carved detailed records of this naval engagement onto temple walls at Medinet Habu. This military victory in the Nile estuary followed an earlier confrontation at the Battle of Jahi. Although Egypt secured military success, sustained defense campaigns, depleted state treasuries, and ended new kingdom dominance. The widespread disruption of Mediterranean shipping routes severed the vital tin supply needed for bronze production. Neither copper nor tin could move freely between trading partners during this period of systemic instability. Without reliable tin imports, ancient kingdoms could no longer manufacture standard weapons at the necessary scale. This critical supply shortage accelerated the regional adoption of iron technology for tools and weapons. The Hittite Empire collapsed around 1180 BC, while Mycenaean palace society fell during this same time frame. Environmental pressures and economic collapse destroyed these states rather than sea raiders alone. Documented destruction layers confirm the permanent abandonment of major cities across Anatolia and the Levant. The Bronze Age collapse lasted approximately 50 years, initiating the 400-year Greek Dark Age that followed. Egypt survived this regional breakdown, but international trade routes remained severed and ancient empires collapsed. While most groups within the Sea Peoples Coalition vanished from written records, historical evidence shows the Peleset settled along the southern Levant and became the Philistines. Following the regional breakdown, coalition groups permanently altered the demographic landscape of the Levant. Historical records document the Peleset contingent establishing permanent settlements along the southern coast of Canaan. These settlers became known in later texts and biblical accounts as the Philistines. A 2019 genetic study of skeletal remains from Ashkelon confirmed European DNA in this early population. This biological evidence provides strong support for a historical connection between the Peleset and Aegean origins. Conversely, other contingents like the Shurden and Luca vanished completely from surviving written sources. No ancient records document where these additional groups relocated or how their distinct cultures evolved. The Sea Peoples founded no central empire, leaving only scattered settlements across the Mediterranean region. Modern historical consensus evaluates the Bronze Age collapse as a multi-causal catastrophe. Prolonged drought and widespread famine established the primary structural pressure on ancient states. Interrupted trade routes and political instability further compromised the resilience of imperial governments. Within this failing system, the armed movement of migrating populations functioned as an accelerating catalyst. The Sea Peoples did not destroy a stable world through coordinated military action alone. They moved through an international network that was already experiencing severe systemic failure. Although Egypt survived this regional crisis, its central authority was permanently diminished across subsequent centuries. The Sea Peoples left no written records, monumental inscriptions, or self-authored accounts of their origins. Every surviving historical description of their activities derives entirely from their primary military targets. No primary voice exists to explain their motivations or clarify their internal leadership. Egyptian scribes and Levantine administrators created the only enduring documentation of these migratory groups. Consequently, their social organization and geographic roots remain subjects of active research. Archaeologists recognize this historical silence as a permanent characteristic of the documented evidence. Scholars do not anticipate that a single future discovery will fully resolve this complex identity. The primary material legacy of this systemic collapse was the rapid transition toward iron technology. Severed maritime trade routes eliminated the steady importation of tin required for manufacturing bronze tools and weapons. Metallurgists adopted localized iron smelting not as a planned advancement, but as a practical necessity. This forced metallurgical adaptation initiated the Mediterranean Iron Age across the former Bronze Age territories. The shift to iron tools established the material foundation for subsequent civilizations in the ancient world. Today, the origin of the Sea Peoples remains one of the primary unsolved questions in Mediterranean archaeology.